I think not just young people, but people overall have to understand that the income inequality we see in our country today, as high as it's been since the Gilded Age, right before the Great Depression, is not normal, it's not just, it's not fair, and it's not an act of God. These are choices and policy decisions made by political actors like me and approved like voters like you. Investing in people is the linchpin of my administration's strategy for improving Stockton, especially our young people. Accordingly, we have a couple of initiatives that directly focus on them. The first one being Stockton Scholars, which is our scholarship program, so that for the next decade, every single student who graduates from our largest school district, whether going to a trade school, a 2-year school, or a 4-year school, is guaranteed a scholarship with the goal of tripling the number of Stockton students who graduate college in the next decade. "85% of young people in my school districts in Stockton are Title I, meaning they're not bad people, their parents aren't bad people, but oftentimes they have to live in bad economic circumstances. So poverty is a big issue. They're living in a community that has the lowest rate of college attainment of all but one of the top 100 cities in this country, with only 17% of adults in their community having a 4-year degree or higher. They're living in neighborhoods filled of good people, but oftentimes bad environments. Neighborhoods with more liquor stores and grocery stores, neighborhoods with more check cashing places and banks, and they're also coming from communities of a lot of resilience and strength. A lot of the young people in my schools are first-generation immigrants whose parents have left their homelands to come to Stockton, America, in search of a better life. So those challenges and assets really prime our students to take advantage of the opportunities we're providing them, to show to the world that really talent and intellect are universal, but oftentimes resources and opportunities are not. Additionally, we have a program called the Stockton Economic Empowerment Demonstration, or SEED, which is our basic income program where 125 families from throughout the city are given $500 a month for the next 18 months to really deal with issues of economic insecurity. And these families aren't just families who aren't working. In fact, the majority of folks in our program are working, which goes to show us that people are working, but the economy is not working with or for them. And what we found in the first 6 months of the program are that people are spending the money just like you would spend the money. What would you spend money on? Things like food. Over 40% of recipients spend their $500 on food. The next most popular item are merchandise, things people need, clothing for back to school, backpacks, etc. Then utilities, lights. And what's not surprising to me, probably not surprising to you, but surprising to a lot of people, is that less than 1% of folks are spending that extra income on drugs and alcohol. They're spending the money on necessities needed to be part of society and civilization. So I'm incredibly excited and proud because the folks in this pilot are, again, no different than me or you. There's people who are working 2 jobs who are saying now because of the program, they don't have to drive Uber and can spend time with their kids. And that one job is enough. There's folks that have been able to save. There's folks that have been able to take time off of work when they're sick and get better. There's folks who are able to spend more time with their kids. There's folks who are able to buy books for school. And what we're hearing over and over from people in the program is that they're finally able to breathe. Oftentimes, particularly if you're growing up in poverty, so much of the narrative is to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and to work hard and agency, and that's important. But it's also important to understand the underlying structures that create massive inequality, when you have wages not increasing, when you have recently a $2 trillion tax cut that did not go to regular everyday folks, but went to non-people like corporations, and they're already very wealthy. When you have lack of investments in things like education and healthcare, you create the conditions where this income inequality happens, and it's up to us to change it. Yeah, if you care about these issues, there's a bunch of tools in the toolbox. One is to definitely educate your peers and ask the right questions. We have an election coming up, and the question has to be, what are you going to do as nominee, as president, to ensure the economy works for everyone? And by everyone, meaning everyone. And then also ask questions about particular segments of the population. Like, what are you going to do about poverty? What are you going to do about the working class? What are you going to do about the lower middle class? Because I think oftentimes people couch economic policy in terms of this middle class, which isn't as robust or isn't as large as one would have you believe. And a lot of folks who are middle class statistically are actually working poor, or like the 1 in 2 Americans are one paycheck away from poverty themselves. And then also, if you're really upset and want to roll up your sleeves, you can run for office, run for school board, run for city council, county commissioner, mayor, city council. All these elected officials are no different than you. We're all people who decided to run and got people to vote for us. But I think oftentimes people think we're aliens or we were born into this, and that's just not the case. We're literally regular people just like you, who saw an issue or saw an interest that we wanted to advocate for and convince other people to give us the opportunity.